Hey guys, what's going on? Is Rick, and I'm here with my first half of June review video. So as you guys know, May was the first time I did one of these videos, or two of these videos I should say, and you guys seem to really enjoy them. So this time I'm more prepared. I have like a table set up, this way I'm not pulling movies off of the rack and shaking it that I record off of. I have a bottle of water because I'm about to record 5 videos. This is the first one. And I have my list of notes with everything I've watched the first half of the month. The cutoff was the 15th, and I've watched, 2 movies already. And today's the 17th. I saw 2 movies yesterday. Both are hot trash contenders, and one of them was actually in the movie theater. So you'll have to wait to the next video to see what I'm talking about. Or if you follow me on Instagram, you might be able to put 2 and 2 together. But yeah, so we're going to dive into this. We're going to do our usual hot trash of the video and surprise of the video. So if you guys aren't familiar with what those are, before I dig in, hot trash is probably the worst movie I saw. Something that's absolutely garbage, something I will not watch again. I wouldn't recommend. And surprise of the video is just something where it was either something that I really expected a lot from and it disappointed, or something that, I didn't know much about or kind of put off watching and was pleasantly surprised by it. So the first thing I watched was Ma. Saw that in the movies. I did not use AMC A-List because we were visiting my girlfriend's parents and they don't have an AMC by their house. They only had a Regal. So we went and checked it out. I actually had really high expectations / hopes for it. And the first hour and 20 minutes of the movie is very good. The suspense is built up very well. However, the last 20 minutes, the movie kind of falls apart. The way it ended was disappointing. And in my opinion, it's one of those movies, if you've seen the trailer, you've seen the entire movie, or at least the good parts, if you will. I kept expecting other stuff that I hadn't seen in the trailer to happen, and it didn't really happen. There was one scene that I guess was supposed to, be a shock value thing, but it felt really unnecessary in the movie. The movie really could have been rated PG-13. The R rating, except for this one scene for shock value, I think there was no reason to even have this movie rated R. It's high school kids, and occasionally they would curse, but it felt forced. Octavia Spencer was great in the movie, basically playing a crazy woman. She nailed the role, but I wouldn't waste my time going to see it. If you want to check it out, wait till it comes out on Blu-ray. Rent it. I wouldn't go buy it blindly. I just thought it was meh. I give it a 2 out of 5. So the next thing I saw was actually a Blu-ray I picked up while out hunting when I visit with my girlfriend's parents. And that is Rendition. This stars Reese Witherspoon, Jake Gyllenhaal, Meryl Streep. This movie was just to me. It was brand new factory sealed when I got it. You'll see this in a pickup video, and then you won't see it anymore because it's getting traded in to Pam's. It's one of those movies, it wasn't necessarily hot trash or something that was terrible, awful. It was just a movie that had a ton of star power, really felt like it underdelivered and felt mediocre, and definitely not a rewatchable movie. Yeah, it was 2 hours. It wasn't, over long. It felt long in parts. I just kicked the camera. Sorry about that. But it just felt to me. It wasn't anything spectacular. Rendition, I give it a 2.5 out of 5. The next movie is actually my surprise of the video. It's a movie I'd never seen before, and my girlfriend suggested we watched it because it was on my things I wanted to watch list, which is ever growing, and that is We Bought a Zoo, starring Matt Damon and Scarlett Johansson. I really, really enjoyed this movie. I actually have to ask RJ if he's seen it, because I would definitely rewatch this at some point with him. I think he would really enjoy it. I have in my notes here, it was a great family movie, very funny and endearing. Some of the plot felt definitely a little bit too convenient in the movie. Like stuff that happened, it felt very like, oh, well, that's convenient that that happened at that point in time. The other thing we'll say about this movie, and it's going to be a ridiculous statement to a lot of you people, is Matt Damon's hair in this movie drove me insane. He has this long flowing hair, and it just felt really ridiculous. Not the Matt Damon we're used to seeing. And it kind of took me out of the movie in the beginning, but like I said, the story got rolling, and I really enjoyed this. I gave this a 4 out of 5. I really liked the movie. It was very entertaining. It was very good, very funny. Definitely something I would watch again. The next thing I checked out was Sweet Virginia, which was a DVD that I got from the library. That starred John Barenthal and Christopher Abbott, who you might know from Girls. He was also in the movie Tyrell I reviewed last month. It's your typical small budget movie with a few, familiar faces that you would recognize. It was supposed to be like a suspense thriller kind of thing, basically about a hitman and a hit that has gone wrong, and a guy in a town who we're not quite sure what he does or what his job is besides being a motel owner / manager. And the movie just doesn't really go anywhere. I pretty much summarized it. It's, in my opinion, like a 45-minute Law and Order SVU episode that was put into an hour and 35-minute movie, and there was no reason for it. I gave it a 2 out of 5. It's definitely something that I don't need to go pick up. Something I would ever rewatch again. So it was Sweet Virginia was the name of that one. Next was a movie I watched on Netflix, a Netflix exclusive called Always Be My Maybe. That stars Randall Park and Ali Wong, and it was really, really funny. Very enjoyable. It is probably, out of all the Netflix original movies I've seen, probably my favorite of the Netflix original movies. I have heard really good things about Murder Mystery, which stars Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston. I really liked Bird Box, but Always Be My Maybe felt like it was just a very good romantic comedy. It had different aspects to it, but it was just a funny movie. It was a sweet movie. Ali Wong and Randall Park in the movie were great together. Randall Park makes some music in the movie that I found really enjoying and really enjoyable. And he actually wrote and performed all the music. He co-wrote it, I should say, but it was just a really fun time. Michelle Buteau was really funny in this movie. She played Ali Wong's assistant. Ali Wong's basically this very famous celebrity chef, and Randall Park and her had gone out in high school, and they had been best friends, and they basically broke up and went their separate ways, and they always kind of found their way back together again. It was just a really funny, sweet movie. Definitely worth watching. The music was good. The comedy was good. Always Be My Maybe, I gave a 4 out of 5, and I would definitely recommend checking it out. It was a close runner-up for Surprise of the Video. The next movie was Aladdin. Not the Disney cartoon, but the AMC A-list. Not the AMC A-list version. The new live-action Disney version that we saw with AMC A-list. If you guys watch Cinema Sickness's live streams, the last one I did with Crazy Joe and Dave, I voiced my issues with the movie. So the original cartoon was 90 minutes long. It is one of my favorite Disney movies of all time. As you guys might know, I have a bit of a weird obsession with Princess Jasmine. I have 5 of her pop figures over there. And my biggest complaint is, why did you have to take a movie that was 90 minutes, had a very tight runtime, is a very entertaining movie, and why did you have to stretch it out to 2 hours and 10 minutes? It felt very unnecessary, especially for a movie that's basically a retread of the original. So you added 40 minutes of filler, and it felt every bit as long as they added. It was brutal in parts. Like, come on, let's go to the next thing. This is awful. A lot of people were giving Will Smith, a hard time about this role. There was lots of flack in the media. However, I will say Will Smith was outstanding in the movie. He was really entertaining. Was he Robin Williams? No, but nobody is going to be Robin Williams. Robin Williams made the genie his own character. I really think Will Smith does a good job considering what he had to deal with and being compared to Robin Williams. But I thought, what else do I have here? I thought the casting of Jafar was awful. He felt way too young. He almost felt like he was the same age as Aladdin and Jasmine in the movie. Plus, he wasn't intimidating in the way that Jafar was in the animated movie. I felt like the person who was cast as Aladdin didn't do a very good job. He was not a great singer, especially next to Naomi Scott, I believe is her name, who played Jasmine. And then a personal gripe I have with the movie, and this is going to sound really ridiculous. So in the original movie, towards the end, and I hope this isn't a spoiler for a movie that's 27 years old, but basically Jafar, gets the genie and he becomes all powerful, and he has the Sultan in an hourglass, and Jasmine becomes a slave to him, and she's, in her seductive red, outfit, and she basically gets to the point where she starts to seduce Jafar, and then in the reflection of Jafar's scepter, he sees Aladdin, and it kind of puts the wheels in motion. Well, in this movie, it turns out to be like a song, and it's basically about her being a strong woman and powerful. She never becomes a slave, because I feel like in this, culture we live in, this time, like having Jasmine portrayed as a slave and needing a man to help save her, like you could have done that and it wouldn't have been heavy-handed. They changed it around. It felt really silly. It really kind of aggravated me that you kept everything else there. You added all this filler to stretch this movie out to 2 hours and 10 minutes, which it did not need to be. I saw it with Bridget. RJ had seen it separately from me. He said it was very boring. He didn't really like it. He thought it was way too long. There were a few parts he liked, but he said it just felt really long to him. I totally and wholeheartedly agree. But because I love the original so much and it's stuck close to the original story, I ended up giving it a 3 out of 5. I will say, however, I've only seen 3 live-action Disney movies, the reboots, if you will. I've seen The Jungle Book, which is my favorite. I thought it was outstanding. I saw Beauty and the Beast, which I wasn't a huge fan of, but once again, I love the animated movie. This ranks at the bottom of those 3 for me, and I know I need to watch more. Dumbo's coming out soon. I haven't seen Maleficent. Cinderella really doesn't interest me, but maybe eventually I'll watch it. But this just felt really forced. I still have high hopes for The Lion King, but I think all these Disney movies getting remade, I'm going to get very sick and tired of it fast, and I could see myself, limiting which ones I go see in the movies and which ones I wait till they come out on home video to check out. So the next thing we watched was The Secret Life of Pets, this being the original. I wanted to watch this because of a movie that I'll talk about soon, and I'm sure you guys can figure that out. But Secret Life of Pets, I had seen before. It had been a while, and kind of just wanted a refresher. I gave the movie a 3.5 out of 5. I don't have much to say. It's a funny animated movie. I really like Kevin Hart's character of Snowball the bunny. He's not in this movie quite enough for me, but we'll talk about Snowball in a little bit. And the movie was enjoyable. Obviously, Louis C.K. did the voice of the main dog in this movie. He was not the voice of the main dog in the second movie. Spoiler alert. We'll talk about that in a few minutes, but this was good. 3.5 out of 5. It's a funny animated kids movie. The next movie we watched was one that RJ had never seen, but a movie I watched a lot when I was a child. Haven't watched in a long time, and that is Who Framed Roger Rabbit, this being the 25th anniversary edition on Blu-ray. But RJ had never seen it, so we popped it in to watch it. it holds up. It's a dark movie in parts. There's lots of adult humor in parts, but I feel like a lot of it went over RJ's head. I think my favorite part about this movie is seeing Disney characters and Looney Tune characters in the same movie on screen at the same time, seeing like Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse standing side by side. It's pretty cool to see that, but it's a fun, old school mystery. It has that old film noir feel to it, and I give it a 3.5 out of 5. It's a fun time. It's enjoyable. It's 104 minutes, so I don't think it overstays its welcome. And I'm glad that I got to revisit it. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? 3.5 out of 5. So the next movie, when I got my packages from Mill Creek, RJ was checking them out, and he said he had interest in watching this. I said, okay, and I kind of had to think back and do some reading to make sure it was appropriate for him. And I figured, why not? Anaconda, starring Jennifer Lopez, Ice Cube, and Jon Voight. This was sent to me by Mill Creek Entertainment to review. It had been since I saw it in the movies in 1997 that I watched it. And upon watching it, the picture quality is great. They did a great job with the transfer. It's a Blu-ray DVD combo pack. So that's very cool. This movie is pretty bad. It is very reminiscent of the sci-fi movies that are on now. Stuff like Sharknado and Mega Squid vs. Belly Button and all those crazy things. Anaconda felt like that. Didn't feel very scary. I wish a movie like this had more humor in it. There were a few attempts at humor, most of which fell flat except for a few of Ice Cube's lines. But it was a good time, I guess, back in the day, and it just doesn't hold up. Like I said, it felt very sci-fi movie now, which it doesn't say much for sci-fi based on the fact that a movie 22 years ago has just as good, if not better, graphics and CGI than their movies do now. Which is funny because I'm actually going to be watching a sci-fi movie later on tonight after I get done recording all these videos. But like I said, I wish it didn't take itself so seriously. I wish it had more humor in it. I give it a 1.5 out of 5. RJ was very bored by it. And it only had an hour and 29-minute runtime, so he was bored. He was ready for it to be over. Anaconda. Next, checked out The Secret Life of Pets 2 using AMC A-List. And I kind of alluded to that a few minutes ago. It was good, nothing great. I'm glad that it got more Snowball in it. He is definitely more prevalent in this story. And it was funny. I really hope they do a spin-off with his character in the future. Him and Tiffany Haddish were really good in the movie together. It was funny. It was basically right up there with the original. I ended up giving the second one a 3 out of 5. Not quite as good as the original, but in my opinion, very close to it. Not a huge drop off in quality. So yeah, Secret Life of Pets 2, 3 out of 5. The next thing I checked out was Godzilla King of the Monsters using AMC A-List. For me, that movie basically ranks between Kong Skull Island, which I really enjoyed, and Godzilla from 2014. I've given all three movies a 3.5, so spoiler for my rating, 3.5 out of 5. I think if I rewatched the original Godzilla from 2014, my grade would drop. My issue with that movie was there wasn't enough monster. The characters in the movie, the human characters, were great. They were entertaining. They performed very well. They had great scripts to work with, but there was hardly any monster. Well, this movie does the opposite. There's a ton of monster, but the actors in this movie aren't given much to work with. The performances, for the most part, are pretty awful. You don't really care about any of the characters. You have no, investment in them. So you just want to see monsters destroy everything, which is fine and fun, but you should have human characters that you're invested in as well. So basically, if they took the monster action of the second movie combined with the human character action of the first movie, you would have that perfect mix. It didn't happen this time. Like I said, I give it a 3.5 out of 5. I will say that I am incredibly excited for Godzilla vs. Kong. I hope they don't drop the ball on it. I hope it's done really well and enjoyable. So yeah, Godzilla King of the Monsters, 3.5 out of 5. The next thing I watched, The Oranges, starring Hugh Laurie, Leighton Meester, Catherine Keener, Allison Janney, Oliver Platt. This movie was pretty bad. The characters in this movie, I'm pretty sure every character was designed to be unlikable and for you to not care about them at all. What else do I have? It was pretty tough to sit through at 90 minutes. Like I said, a bunch of unlikable characters. Basically, the premise is this guy and his wife, who are played by Catherine Keener, live across the street from Oliver Platt and Allison Janney. They've been best friends. They do everything together. They go out for morning walks. And they're trying to hook their daughter up with the son. And basically, the dad ends up hooking up with the daughter. And they have a relationship. And it's not funny. It's supposed to be funny. There's supposed to be drama to it, and it just falls flat. I give this a 1 out of 5. This is not going back on my shelf. This is getting traded in, so that is 2 movies this month getting traded in. And then next, I don't have a physical copy for my hot trash of the video, but my hot trash of the video is Amityville: The Awakening. This movie, I would say, is from 2015, but that's not exactly the case. It was filmed in 2014, starring Bella Thorne and Jennifer Jason Leigh. Supposed to come out January of 2015. However, it was pushed back numerous times. And it finally got a release, I believe, September of 2017. It was available on Google Play for like a month and a half for free. It made it to theaters and made like hold on, do I have it? Google it, but I think it made like $740 domestically. It was just brutal. The movie was horribly lit. It wasn't very scary at all. The acting was awful. Bella Thorne was just brutal. This was I guess a Weinstein-owned thing, so it felt really skeevy in parts. Like Bella Thorne's supposed to be this high schooler, and there's a lot of like focusing on her in her underwear and weird. It just felt really pervy in sections, and it was just tough to sit through. And it only has like a 90-minute runtime. I do not recommend watching it. It was really just not fun for me. Amityville: The Awakening, I give a 0.5 star out of 5. Hot trash of the video. Next, I have a few more things to talk to you guys about. Next is The Kid from 2019. This stars Dane DeHaan, Chris Pratt, Ethan Hawke. It is a Western about Billy the Kid, sort of. Without getting into too much detail, it basically follows a kid. Him and his sister basically end up killing their dad in the beginning of the movie. It's not a spoiler alert. It happens in the first 5 minutes. And they kind of go on the run from their uncle, and they meet up with Billy the Kid, and it's a Western, which isn't my favorite genre, but I do have some Westerns I really enjoy. The cast is great in this movie. Like I said, you have Dane DeHaan, you have Chris Pratt, you have Ethan Hawke, directed and written, I believe, by Vincent D'Onofrio. It's funny because 3 of those guys are actually all in The Magnificent Seven from like 2016. But it just didn't go anywhere for me. Chris Pratt's in the movie for about 10 minutes, maybe 15. The cool part about seeing Chris Pratt in this movie was you don't see him in rated R movies often, and he played a bad guy in the movie, so to see him as a rated R bad guy was kind of cool, just because it's something different, but they really don't do much with it, and I feel like it could have been any actor. I feel like it was done as a favor to D'Onofrio since they were in Magnificent Seven together. this I gave it 2 out of 5. Don't have much more to say about it. The next thing I checked out was from Mill Creek. A lot of you guys, when I did the unboxing, said I should really check this out. It's one of Dana Carvey's best movies, and that is Opportunity Knocks. I popped this in, like I said, Mill Creek sent it to me to review, and that's what I'm doing right now. And Dana Carvey's really good in this movie. This was before Wayne's World. He was on SNL when this was made, and it was just a fun time. It was entertaining. Don't know how realistic it is. A lot of the stuff seems really convenient, especially at the end. Like, all of a sudden everything's okay, even though the guy did some pretty awful stuff. We've definitely seen this movie before, but Dana Carvey did great in it. He busted out some impressions, probably some that wouldn't fly in movies today because they would be deemed insensitive, but it was a fun time. His George Bush impression makes an appearance. It's probably one of the better scenes in the movie. And yeah, Opportunity Knocks. He's basically a con man, and he falls into an interesting situation, and hilarity ensues. So Opportunity Knocks, I give it a 3 out of 5. Really nice transfer on this. The picture quality is great on it. And yeah, very cool to check this one out. And then the last movie that we watched, the first half of the month, we watched on the 15th, the evening of. And it was a movie that when I revealed that I had never watched it, a ton of you guys, as I knew, would give me a lot of grief over, a hard time over it. And I wanted to make a priority to watch it. Sat down with Bridget and RJ to watch it. He had baseball playoffs the next morning, so we figured, why not a baseball movie? And we checked out Field of Dreams. Bridget had seen it. I hadn't, as you guys know, and RJ hadn't watched it. He fell asleep about an hour into it. He was really tired. Plus, it's a baseball movie with not a lot of baseball. This movie basically focuses on the story of Kevin Costner's character, a farmer who hears a voice that tells him if you build it, he will come. He basically plows over a bunch of his cornfields to build a baseball diamond. And I'm sure many of you guys know the story and where it goes from there. I really like the movie. I feel like I really would have enjoyed the movie more if I didn't know so much about the movie, or at least aspects of the movie. The end of the movie, the emotional climax of the film, if you will, had me choked up, even though I knew it was coming the whole time. The way they got to it was very touching. I love the road trip aspect of the movie. James Earl Jones is hilarious in this movie alongside Kevin Costner. And it really was an enjoyable watch. Glad I finally watched it. It's another movie to check off my to-watch list. And it was just a good time. I gave this a 4 out of 5. Field of Dreams is a classic that I can now finally say I have watched. So, very cool. And that's it, guys. That is everything. 16 movies in the first 15 days of the month. My pile of movies almost fell over. So what I'm going to do here, we're going to do an interactive thing. I'm going to hold these up on this angle, and I'm going to, boom, take a picture of them. So we have a screenshot there. But yeah, so that's it. Like I said, I've already watched 2 movies. And the other thing I wanted to mention is I'm actually going to be catching up on some like guy flicks the next couple days. My girlfriend's visiting her parents. So tonight and then the next 2 nights, I have a handful of movies I'd really like to try to watch. There's certain types of movies she's not really into that I'd like to try to watch, especially most of them are 4Ks. So hopefully I'll have a bunch of 4Ks to talk about in the second half of June's review video. But that's it, guys. I'm going to drink some of this water. It is hot in here. I'm sweating, so I need to cool down because I have 4 more videos to record. And yeah. So as always, be sure to hit the likes. Hit the links down below to check out my Instagram, eBay, Facebook, Twitter, my Letterboxd, where I rate and review all the movies I watch. I've been getting a bunch of follows on Letterboxd, so thank you guys if it's viewers that are following. I always try to follow you guys right back to see what you're watching and see what you thought of it. So that's it on that end. Be sure to also like this video. Be sure to comment. Let me know your thoughts on the stuff I reviewed. If you agree, disagree, something I should check out that is a must-see. I definitely have a bunch of stuff in theaters I want to check out. Like I said, I'm going to be tackling some 4Ks the next couple of days. And going to do some more movie watching, guys. I'm trying to watch as many as I can without, you know, missing work or anything. So that's it. As always, who's down to movie?